It's Tuesday, the 22nd of February at 7:30, and I'd like to call the regular council meeting of the City of Twinsburg to order. Shannon, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Scafidi?
Here.
Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mr. Post?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mrs. Labby? Here.
Okay, at this time, we'll have the invocation and the pledge led by Mr. Vazana, and if you'd all please rise.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and
It's
support. as we begin
Tuesday, the 22nd of February at 7:30, and I'd like to call the regular council meeting of the City of Twinsburg to order. Shannon, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Scafidi?
Fill us with your
Mr.
grace
Fury?
as we make decisions that
Post?
affect all of our
Mrs. Walker?
residents, businesses,
Present.
Mr.
and our
Barr?
dedicated city.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mrs. Labby?
Bless those away.
Okay, at this time, we'll have the invocation and the pledge led by Mr. Vazana. Amen. If you'd all please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have the approval of the minutes from the February 8th meeting. Does anybody, if everybody is okay with them, then please, I need a motion.
I noticed it said Mrs. Post.
Amen.
First part of page 2.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as amended. Amended as amended, David. Okay.
David did not catch it.
I went fast. I just see post. I just assumed.
All right, we have a motion. Can I have a second? Mr. Bellin seconds. Any other discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Okay with them?
Mr.
I need
Post?
a motion.
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes. Okay, so the minutes pass 7-0. Next, we have awards and presentations. Tonight, we have a proclamation for Mr. John Curry, which will be presented by Mayor Gates.
I went fast.
Mayor.
I just see post. I just assumed.
All right, we have a motion. Can I have a second on behalf of the family?
John, you can last.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of council, the mayor, the law director, we'd like to welcome you as we read this proclamation for John Curry. And it's so appropriate for us to do this on our last meeting of the month of February, which we deemed Black History Month, and pay honor to a man widely known as Mr. Twinsburg.
This is going to be really short and sweet. I met with Cheryl a couple times to get more information regarding her dad. And it starts off with John R. Curry moved to Twinsburg in 1944, and he immediately knew that it would be his forever home. Throughout his 91 years, he worked to bring the community together. Known as Mr. Twinsburg for his love of Twinsburg, and was proud to call it his home. He was a fixture at the community center, schools, and athletic events. He provided counsel to the young and not so young, and assisted in finding employment for the residents in Twinsburg. And I need to say that my dear friend, Mr. Curry, gave her a job, and she's currently there. And I'm not going to say how long it's been, but it's been a long time. It really has. So his legacy still lives forever. Mr. Curry was civic-minded, serving Twinsburg Township for 10 years, working with the city of Twinsburg to establish contracts for the township and the EMS services. He volunteered over 20 hours at the Twinsburg Community Center, Western Reserve Outreach Center, and was president for 10 years. He was a great man. I really miss him. And he did a lot of great work, not only for the township, but also for the city of Twinsburg. God bless this beautiful family, and may Mr. Curry continue to rest in peace.
Yeah, it's an honor for me to present this proclamation. I got to know Mr. Curry a little bit. I know he's also known as the mayor also, so it's also fitting for me to do this tonight. But I was able to go to his services. I went to the tree dedication. I saw his friends and family there. And, you know, when I thank council and Daisy and Karen for coming up with this. This is the first time we've ever done anything outside of a resolution for Black History Month. And I think it's special for our community to recognize Mr. Curry during this month, and you know, hopefully it's something that will continue on, you know, year to year during the month of February. But I know that, you know, when we first started talking about it, who we were going to select, a few names were proposed, and one question came up, well, Mr. Curry lived in the township. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. He impacted all of Twinsburg. I know he was a regular at all of our basketball games, football games, whatever sporting event. I know he attended a lot of them. I mean, he had a presence here that impacted all of our community. So I think it's you know, it's an honor for us to present this to him tonight. So I'll read the proclamation and present it to John. Whereas the administration, council, and residents of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio, commemorate the life of John R. Curry during Black History Month. Whereas John was born on May 27th, 1930 in Youngstown, Ohio, and whereas John was married for 60 years to Loretta Curry, he has 5 children: John R. Curry Jr., Stephen E. Curry, Cheryl A. Curry, Peary, Charles R. Curry, and Keith B. Curry Sr. He also has 14 grandchildren and 23 great-grandchildren. John graduated from Twinsburg schools in 1950. He served in the Air Force as an air policeman from 1950 to 1953 and was a Korean War veteran. John also worked for Chrysler Stamping Plant in Twinsburg, Ohio for 30 years and was a Twinsburg Township trustee from 1978 to 1989. Whereas John was known as Mr. Twinsburg because of his love for the city of Twinsburg, he was proud to call Twinsburg his home and always said, "It's a beautiful place." He loved to share his knowledge about the city and township. He provided historical information for the documentary Voices of the Hill. John was very instrumental in getting the former B.F. Goodrich Credit Union opened across from the Ohio Chrysler Stamping Plant. He was very civic-minded, serving as a township trustee and as president of the Western Reserve Outreach Center. John was instrumental in the 1983 reformation of the Twinsburg Township Police Department from 1983 to 1988. Whereas John was named Summit County Volunteer of the Year in 2008, he was inducted in the Twinsburg Athletic Hall of Fame. In 2021, a tree was dedicated in memory of John on the former Western Reserve Outreach Center. John received the Senior Dad Appreciation Award by the LeBron James Foundation. And now, therefore, I, Ted Yates, Mayor of the City of Twinsburg, do hereby extend my appreciation on behalf of the administration of the City of Twinsburg, members of City Council, and residents of the City of Twinsburg to the family and friends of John R. Curry for his dedication and service to the City of Twinsburg. May his memory continue to live on for years to come, and let there be a permanent record of gratitude for everything John has done for the Twinsburg community.
Say is the family thanks you all. My father thanks you all. I know he does, and he would have a lot more to say than I. But thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, to the Curry family, we're going to move on with the rest of the agenda. If you would like to, you're welcome to stay, but if you would like to go now, this would be the time to go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your dad with us as well.
We all live in the township. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Walker asked for a 2-minute break. She wants to run back there real quick, so we'll take a 2-minute break. We will resume our regular council meeting. We're going to go off script a little bit. Mr. Fury had asked if he could say a few words before audience participation.
Thank you, Mr. Cic Meeting. After Chief Mason has recognized 3 officers for assisting a resident with CPR, prior to EMS squad arriving. And as Chief Morgan was approaching the podium to give his report at our last council meeting, I made the following jest. I said, beat that, because Chief Mason had just done an outstanding job of talking about the heroic efforts of the 3 officers. And further, as Chief Morgan came up further, I said it was really the firemen, because it was a joint effort. And I meant that in jest, because there's often significant competition between the police and fire. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I received a call from a veteran police officer yesterday that said my comments may be in jest, but they may have been taken as a sign of disrespect by the police officers that were being honored because they were outside the chamber and heard people laughing. At this time, I would like to assure officers Terry Wade, Rodney Geist, Olivia Bartovlik that I meant absolutely no disrespect to you, and would like to publicly apologize if you felt my comments were disparaging to your accomplishments. I appreciate what you do, and thank you for your service to the city of Twinsburg. The officer who has contacted me asked me if I was willing to meet with the 3 officers and clear up any further concerns, and I said I'd be more than willing to do that, and I'm waiting to hear back for a date. So, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Post, you had something?
Yes, just to add real short to that, I also was told that I had a comment that was taken out of context, and again, to follow up with that, none of any context of what I said was meant to be disrespectful, clearly, at all. And again, I apologize if it was taken that way, but clearly there was no disrespect to anyone or to take away any of the heroics of that night, clearly. And again, I think it was just when it's taken out of context, it could have many meanings. And that was clearly not the meaning or the intent. So I just want to clarify with that also. So thank you.
Thank you both. Okay, audience participation.
First, we have Sue Clark.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Law Director, Sue Clark, 9845 Crestwood Drive. I would like to know if any of the council members, other than Bill because he was there, had a chance to watch the ARB meeting from 2/18/2022. I did because it's one of the boards that I'm interested in serving on. The board has great concern over Ordinance 84/2021, mostly the part of the 25% square footage. This means the building commissioner could approve a 2-car garage in addition to a home. The example was given if a resident in Corbett's Farm wanted to put an addition on a 4,000 square foot home, the addition would be 1,000 square feet. They also had valid points about the 25% land elevation. Mrs. Frazier felt disrespected that council would make these changes to the board without discussing it with them. As a concerned resident, I'm asking for the following. All of you to review the meeting and ask the ARB for their concerns in writing. How did this pass through council with no input from the members of the ARB? They are an advisory board, and I would think we would want their input. I do believe there needs to be a form that boards can submit to council after they've had a chance to discuss among them their concerns. One of the ARB members asked for this. Council, do you think you could have a form made up for the boards? Please do not dismiss these talented people who you have chosen to sit on these boards. I also want to thank them for their hard work and bringing their concerns to the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you again, Sue. Thank you.
Next, we have Lori Facina.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Law Director. Building again on the fact that we are still in Black History Month.
Can you give your name and address, please?
Yes, Lori Facina, 2950 Cannon Road.
Thank you.
And I am here to just remind us all of the rich history of Twinsburg. And I want to read a small paragraph out of the Green Book. If you don't have a copy of it, I'd encourage you to go to the Historical Society because they have thousands of copies. In general, the Western Reserve inclined very strongly toward the abolition of slavery in those stormy years pre-Civil War. But the fact that Twinsburg's public school building was torn down by the Locofocos because it was being used by anti-slavery meetings shows plainly that the Friends of Abolition did not have all things to their own liking. For many years, they were involved in this mission. It was well known that a branch of the Underground Railroad was operating through Twinsburg. It was an open secret. And I think it's important that we remember that this happened right up the road here, right in the middle of our town, and I just wanted to make sure that it's never forgotten and that we understand that this is an incredibly diverse community. My father was very good friends with the senior Mr. Curry. They played basketball together in Twinsburg, and I just want to be here to witness history. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. Next.
Next, we have Michael Turrell.
Good evening, Council President, Council Mayor, everybody. Mike Turrell, 9930 Forest Lake Drive. I attended the comprehensive plan meeting the other day, and it was really quite interesting. It wasn't your typical kind of comprehensive plan presentation that we all would have expected. There was really not a whole lot about land use and development and everything, but I'm sure as Lynn Perlmutter, is that Lynn's last name?
Muter.
Thank you. Yeah, that this was just a small piece of it, that, you know, it's a step-by-step process, of course, developing this huge document. But yeah, there was all this talk about green energy and light bulbs and energy efficiency and stuff, and that to me is kind of like a no-brainer in this day and age, but that's good that we're addressing that within our comprehensive plan for energy efficiency. The thing that really caught my ear, I was just thrilled to hear Mr. Finch say that the city's looking into the idea of planting trees. This is something I presented more than a few years back. Some of you are new here, some have been here, but my whole tree farm idea, I've got these trees that I planted in 1997. These things are 35 feet tall. They're absolutely beautiful. And somewhere, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, I came up with the same idea if we did this on a bigger scale within the city. I spent $230 and I got 1,000 trees that I planted. 23-cent saplings, but this many years later, they're that big. We could have done that in the city. By now, we would have had trees that we could have transplanted, and this program would have been off and running, but I'm just really thrilled and excited that, you know, someone's hearing some of the ideas that I've been throwing out there. I know Ms. Walker absolutely loved it when I brought it to environmental. My Twinsburg tree program, the Twinsburg Reforestation and Environmental Education Program, it's a mouthful. But yeah, some of the other ideas that I brought up, because we do have a lot of new members here, I came up with a theory for community aid, reinvestment, economic solution, the CARES program, where we can reinvest in our business community. Someone one time said that you can't do it, it's illegal. Well, we did it somewhere back in, I believe it was the 1980s. Mayor Parisi at the time sold bonds so that Massars could expand, R&R Trucking put something on, but it can be done. Along with that same line of thought is the HOMES program, or the HELP program, Home Enrichment Loan Program, and we can kind of do the same thing. Invest in our community, people can get some loans and then pay it back to the city, basically using the city's bonding strength. Another idea I've come up with, and I mean, out of all of these, I think there ought to be 1 or 2 good ones in there. The Center Valley First project, where we get flooding, we get a little bit of rain, and Glenwood Acres is going underwater again. We're closing streets and everything. There's a lot that can be done there. The idea I came up with is not a retention basin, but a pond in the middle of Center Valley Park. We have the land. It would need to be engineered and worked through the Army Corps of Engineers and all of that stuff, but this would give like a shock absorber similar on a bigger scale to all the retention basins you see when we put in a new development. Blue Jay Farm, there's a big retention basin out front. It takes up so much water, lets the water come in, so it doesn't discharge it back into the system. We can do the same thing on a bigger scale with Tinker's Creek to slow down a lot of the flooding downstream. Food Truck Friday, absolutely, I don't know, people love it. People on Roundtable love that idea. I presented that to Mr. Yates at one point in time, I can't, 4 or 5 years ago or something. That didn't happen for various reasons. I would like the test project. Twinsburg Educational Safety Town. We need to fix our safety town, plain and simple. It was built in the 80s. A friend of mine said her father, when he was on council, helped build it. That'd be kind of cool. You guys get up there and swing some hammer and nails and build it, but I do have a large number. Can I continue? I'll be brief.
You got a minute, yeah, so
A
keep
minute.
going.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
Go.
that. All due respect. Individual ward meetings would be cool. There was one quick thing, and I got to be really quick, that there was a post on Roundtable from a council person. I will not put any names out there, not meant for embarrassment, strictly educational, that the conceptual plan from a decade ago was just that, conceptual. It was never going to be built. Something that was just getting thrown around is what another person said. And to that, on the note of the comprehensive plan, is the 2014 comprehensive plan done through the Department of Community and Planning Development. This was a very real and legal document, compared to what I just received, but this comes from this. I don't know how many pages. I don't know if they're numbered or not. I've flipped through this a lot. This was not some idea that was getting kicked around and floated around. This was something very real, that there was a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money invested into this thing. This is a comprehensive plan. I gotta be careful. I'll drop this thing during the debate and startled Mary Moore. This is what we got right now. So this is one section of what is to become this, I imagine, of the 2021-22 comprehensive plan. I'm excited about the trees. I'm excited to hear the rest of this plan here, because I don't believe that's all of it. But this was a very real plan, just meant for education, not to embarrass anybody. Whatever information provided that comment was false. Thank you very much. Appreciate this, Grace.
Thank you.
That's all we have this evening.
That's all? Okay. Anybody have any comments? I have one comment. Next time they close streets in Glenwood Acres because of flooding, I need to know that. That's all I want to say. Because I don't know that that's happening. I'm not sure where. I don't have a problem with that. But if there's flooding going on in the acres and we're closing streets, call me. That's all I could say. I need to be kept updated. I'm sure I would be, but I haven't been. So I need to verify that. And that's all I have. Anybody else has anything? All right, let's move on. Council Communication Committee reports. We will go on to David Post.
We had finance this evening. I will let
Yield to. Yeah.
I will let Mr. Belland speak on that. Thank you.
That's it.
And we have an environmental meeting again March 1st, next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Thank you. That's all. That's my report.
Mr. Fury.
Thank you. On the 17th, I attended the Architecture Review Board. Mrs. Clark's already mentioned a few times that there was some, probably over an hour discussion regarding the ordinance where we changed where on the recommendation of the building department and the law director, who worked on that in the past, had passed that in December, and they have some questions. There was also questions at that meeting regarding the policies and procedures on how to run an efficient meeting, and we're going to continue to work to try to make that meeting look like the AR or the BZA and the Planning Commission in the same structure. There were 5 cases that were heard on the 17th. First was case 220205. It was Pepsi-Cola redoing new corporate signage. It passed unanimously. Second case was 220102, which was new signage at Giant Eagle, which passed unanimously. Third case was 220206, and this was the pet hotel in the industrial zone. They had a couple questions on the differentiating colors of bricks, but other than that, it passed 5-0. Next case was 220207, an addition for 2373 Sherwin Drive. It was just a simple addition onto the house. That is also going to be passed 5-0. And the last item on the agenda was 220208. and that was the demolition of a home on Crown Hill Cemetery. And if you drive down 91, there's a white moss-covered house that at one point was the residence for the family that took care of the cemetery many years ago. What Crown Hill would like to do is demolish that house, which is no longer livable, and create additional, a new mausoleum. That vote was 3-2, but it still passed and gave them the ability to, for the certificate of appropriateness that is required to be able to do demolition in the city of Twinsburg. The other news from that evening was Don Spice, who has been a member, we'll look it up, but it goes back into the 80s at least, to the ARB. Don Spice retired at that meeting. And Don's got a plaque in the lobby of this building for doing the architecture. He's got a plaque at the library for working on both the addition and the original building. I can't name everything that Don Spice has done within the city of Twinsburg. Don will be 90 April 23rd this year, so he decided he wanted to take a break. He gets some time off. So I would tell you that I've asked Mrs. Spice to help fill out the form for a proclamation. I think the city should honor Mr. Spice. I know that the mayor and I always spoke about it, and have the ARB and other members, former members, come in and honor Don. He's a great guy, good friend, been a supporter for a long time. So wish Don well. So we are advertising for is that ward? Oh, that's not ward specific in the ARB. So we're looking for a replacement. I think Shannon, you'll get that out this week to start the advertising for the new spot.
We can do that.
Thank you very much. The next meeting for the Architecture Review Board will be on 3/3 at 6 p.m. I attended a CIC meeting on the 10th of February. The next meeting is the 3rd of or 24th of March. Let Mr. Scafidi comment on that. He is now the president of the CIC. I went to a JEDI meeting on the 9th. Or excuse me, I will be going to a JEDI meeting on March 9th for a half a day. We're working on a vision statement with that, and that's a half-day seminar. I attended the finance meeting earlier this evening, and I don't have a green book, so I wrote a note down to go get one. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank
Barbie?
you.
Get you a green book. Green books for all.
Right.
Mrs. Levy.
Thank you. I also attended the finance meeting today. I also attended my first CIC meeting 2 weeks ago, and Sam was going to report on that. So that's wonderful. Very interesting. I liked it a lot. The Parks and Recs Commission meeting for Thursday has been canceled, and I will be attending the JEDI half session in March. That's all I report today.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bellin.
Thank you. Good evening. I attended the council work session on February 15th, where we reviewed the updates to the city's comprehensive plan. At this time, these updates focused on sustainability efforts that the city is making and will continue to make. I'd like to thank Larry Finch and all involved for moving that plan forward. The Finance Committee did meet this evening before our council meeting. We went through our 2022 Permanent Appropriations. We had presentations from the Building Department, from the Economic Development and Planning Department, as well as the Engineering and Infrastructure Department. We also had an overview by Mrs. Bucci-Grass about our 2022 Permanent Appropriations. We had a pretty substantial conversation about a 5-year capital listing as well. The next Finance Committee meeting will be on Tuesday, March 22nd at 6 p.m. prior to our council meeting here in council chambers. The Safety Committee is scheduled to meet on Tuesday, March 8th at 6 p.m. Golf Advisory Board meeting will be held on March 15th at 6:30 p.m. here in council chambers. And Public Works is scheduled to meet on Tuesday, April 12th at 6 p.m. Nothing further this evening. Thank you.
Thank you much. Mrs. Walker.
Thank you. Good evening. I did attend the finance meeting today, and also I had a meeting with the comprehension plan last week. Very good meeting. And also last week, I attended the Community Relations Board, their regular meeting, and it includes the Twinsburg City School Superintendent, Chamber of Commerce, Kent State University, Reminderville, Twinsburg Township, Twinsburg Public Library, and also the city of Twinsburg. And there was a lot of discussion going on. I should have gotten my notes by now, but anyway, we talked about the scholarships for the schools, and we talked about what the library has to offer, and if anyone wants to volunteer, they could be a part of it. And you know, the Twinsburg Township, they're doing a lot of great things, road improvements, you know, et cetera, in their community. But one thing all of them said, you know, the schools, the township, the city, the Twinsburg Library, they all said that the city of Twinsburg had the best, cleanest roads on this side of the Mississippi. They were so impressed with our roads. Everyone said something about it. So I just want to commend Public Works and the Service Department for doing such a great job in keeping our roads the best that we can keep it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barr.
Good evening, thank you. Since our last meeting, none of my committees have met. However, there is a planning commission meeting slated for this coming Monday, which is February 28th, here in council chambers at 7 p.m. There will be a public hearing before the regular meeting regarding outside storage at 2451 East Enterprise Drive, Rudd Equipment Company. It's in an I-2 limited industrial district. And that will follow up with the approval or consideration of a conditional use permit there as well. There's also on the agenda a site plan review for the Pet Suites Kennel that Mr. Fury spoke of earlier at the ARB meeting, and a site plan review for a building addition at Moldwright off of Highland Road. So anyone's interested, we encourage you to attend. That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Under my reports, as was mentioned, I did attend the CIC meeting on last week, and some of the items we discussed were the budget for the year. We elected new officers for the CIC, and we discussed interviewing of new members for the CIC. So we will be looking for some new resident members for the board there, if anybody's interested. The BZA will be meeting tomorrow night at 6:30 right here in council chambers. And that'll be a leftover meeting from the last time when the applicant did not show. So I believe it's a Dayflower resident looking to appear before the BZA. And they'll be here tomorrow night. Finally, I have I also attended the Finance Committee meeting, and Mr. Bellin reported on that, so I did attend that meeting. And I think that's all I have under my report. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's been mentioned a couple times, but the comprehensive plan finished up and has been presented to council. And to want to thank all the residents that participated in that. It's been a lot of time going through the review, looking at ways that the city can be more sustainable, reduce our carbon footprint. And, you know, comprehensive plans can take different forms. This one we decided to focus on sustainability and really kind of set policy and guidelines for the city now and in the future on ways that we can become more green, more energy efficient. A lot of things, as Nathan mentioned, are common sense, but you have to be proactive in doing them. And when you look at different projects that we have, and the number of projects we have throughout the year, there's an effort and a cost to being more sustainable. Typically up front, it's cost more, but at the end, over time, it's a better path for the city today. So I just want to thank all the work that went into that particular document. I'm on the Kent State Advisory Board for the Twinsburg campus. I met with President background of the main campus, and he basically presented the vision of Kent State. A lot of our colleges are going through some interesting times right now, but it was good to kind of hear how Kent State is trying to adapt and move forward to still be the top, one of the top colleges here in the local area, and then the work that our local campus is doing. I will be presenting a proclamation to Mario Vella, young man turning 100 years old in about a week. So I just want to, just give him a kind of a shout out, and we'll be meeting with his family and presenting a proclamation. And then also, as Mr. Fury mentioned, we have Don Spice, who is leaving the Architect Review Board after, God, I don't know how many years. We were trying to figure it out. So 40? Maybe 40, but it's a long time. So we absolutely will want to present him with a proclamation. Again, he's been serving on that board as long as anyone here can remember. So we just want to thank him for all his years of service. And that is all I have this evening. And Sarah, do you have a report? All right. I think that's our only report tonight. Michael, are you reporting? No. He's just visiting.
Okay. Good evening, Council. Finance has closed the January books, and those financial statements are available online. Our February 2022 income tax revenues did look pretty good. We ended at just under $2.2 million compared to last year. We were at 2.1, so that's an increase of just under 3% or $60,000. So for the year, we are up 8.7% over 2021. We are still below 2020 January, February numbers because that was before the pandemic hit. This should be the last month that we have that discrepancy. And then next month at Finance Committee, we have the heavy hitters. We have police, fire, and service department presentation. So, thank you.
That's it? Okay. All done, Mayor?
I just want to say, this is Michael's last week here at the city. We've prepared him to move on to bigger and better things. But we appreciate all he's done while he's been here, the changes he's made in our HR department, and hopefully we continue to move that forward. But we're going to wish him the best. So,
Good luck, Michael. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to legislation. We have Ordinance 11, 2022.
An ordinance amending Chapter 1173, signs of the codified ordinances of the City of Twinsburg.
Okay, that's its first reading. We have Ordinance 13, 2022.
An ordinance adopting and approving the Stormwater Management Program for Twinsburg as presently on file with the city engineer as the official stormwater management program of the City of Twinsburg and declaring an emergency.
Okay, that's its second reading, and just a reminder to council, we'll be asked to pass that at the next meeting as an emergency, which will be its third and final reading. Ordinance 15, 2022.
The Permanent Appropriation Ordinance for 2022, approved by council from estimates submitted by the mayor, providing for the ordinary expenses and other necessary expenses of the City of Twinsburg, Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022, and declaring an emergency.
Okay, that's also its first reading, and we will have 3 readings on this, and the final reading will be the second meeting in March, which will be passed as an emergency for us to get it to the county in time. We have Resolution 16, 2022.
A resolution authorizing an amendment to the terms of the Community Reinvestment Area Agreement with Performance Food Group Incorporated and 8745 Chamberlain Road, LLC.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 16, 2022. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion? Okay, Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 16, 2022 passes 7-0. We have Ordinance 17, 2022.
An ordinance accepting the bid of Fabrizi Trucking and Paving for the White Oak Birchwood reconstruction and declaring an emergency.
Okay, at this time, I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place Ordinance 17, 2022 on its third and final reading and declare it an emergency. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Any discussion on the emergency? The reason, of course, like we mentioned earlier, is to get the contract into place for the upcoming construction season. Okay, Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay. Next, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Ordinance 17, 2022 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion?
The total value of this is $683,000, and it's not going to affect the general fund whatsoever.
Okay. Anybody else? Call the roll, Shannon.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 17, 2022 passes 7-0 as an emergency. We have our resolution 18, 2022.
A resolution authorizing the city to both apply and accept an energized community program grant administered through the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 18, 2022. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Resolution 18, 2022 passes 7-0. Unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. We'll go down the roll. Mr. Bellin.
Michael, best of luck in the future. Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Walker.
Michael, the best is yet to be. God bless you.
Mr. Fury.
Thank you. This weekend, February 26th, the Rotary, the Fire Department, and the CERT team is sponsoring a free CPR and AED training at the Twinsburg Community Center. There are 2 sessions. One is 8:30 to 11:30 a.m., and one is 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. This is a free course so that you can, AEDs are the electrodes that you use. We think we have a dozen of them throughout the city and buildings. They walk you through the process to help stimulate somebody's heart. But again, we have free classes to update you on the changes in CPR and how to use an AED. And again, there's a registration for on the Rotary website. It's if you just go to the Twinsburg Rotary, there's a link on the website to reserve a spot. Again, it's free first aid. 77 years ago, today is the start of the Battle of Iwo Jima. Why did anybody care about that? If you look at the Marine Corps statue in Washington, D.C., with the gentleman raising the flag on Iwo Jima, there's more behind that. You have to think it back in that time. Those were open boats going into machine gun fire on a flat desert island that was 100 to 120 degrees with limited water, that had multiple tunnels and booby traps, and it was a 36-day assault, and there were 26,000 casualties, 6,800 of them dead, and they were primarily Marines. And that's why the Marine Corps honors those men with that statue. But just think of how horrible, what a horrible day or existence that would be at that time. And thank you for our grandparents and our uncles that went through that at that time. So, thank you. Michael Brown, you have been a breath of fresh air in City Hall. Thank you very much for processes and performance measures that you've put in. You've made a significant change in the way the city operates its HR. I wish you nothing but the best, and thank you very much. And lastly, today my mother would have been 85. She's been gone for 13 years, but I'm remembering my mother on her birthday. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, I would like to make a motion that City Council does not oppose the new liquor permit for the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store Incorporated, doing business as Cracker Barrel Store 383, located at 2371 East Aurora Road, and authorize the clerk to submit the form to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and this is for the new D5I permit. Any discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby? Yes. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And To Michael, again, I would repeat everything that everybody said, and I wish you all the best. Best of luck to you in your future endeavor here, and hope you come back and see us sometime. Don't be a stranger in Twinsburg. We'd love to see you back. Thanks for everything you've done. Mr. Post.
Well, the math guy needs to point out that military time 22:22 on 2/22/22 is coming up a couple hours, so it's an exciting moment. And ironically, a good friend of mine has a son today. Today is his 22nd birthday. So how
Nice.
crazy is that? So happy birthday there. And did not work with you very long, Michael, but it was amazing, the little ride we had these last few months. Good luck to you in all your future endeavors, my friend. Thanks.
Mr. Barr.
Michael, again, you will be missed. Like Mr. Fury said, breath of fresh air, and you certainly are on the top of your game. And you're going to leave a void in City Hall. It's going to be real tough to fill those shoes. So I wish you all the best, sir. That's all I have.
Mrs. Levy.
Michael. HR to HR. Your time here was short, but I can tell by the accomplishments that you have made that it was great. So thank you for that. Thank you for our chats. I appreciate it. And I wanted to close with a poem for Black History Month, written in 1899 by James Weldon Johnson, recited first in 1900 by 500 black students. It's called Lift Every Voice and Sing. Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heavens ring with harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song of hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun on a new day begun, let us march until victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod. Felt in the days when hope unborn has died, yet with steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered, have come treading our path through the blood that of the slaughtered. Out of the gloomy past, now we stand at last, where the gleam of the bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who has brought us thus far on the way, Thou who has, they might, led us into the light, keep us forever in the path, we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, O God, where we met Thee. Lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget Thee shadowed beneath Thy hand. May we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. Thank you, and that was adopted by the NAACP as the Negro National Anthem. I think it's a beautiful poem.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. Mayor.
Yeah, nothing further for me this evening.
Mr. Vazana.
Nothing further from me.
That's it. Mrs. Collins.
Nothing, but I did a quick search. Don Spice was first appointed to the ARB in '99, but he was also on our volunteer fire department in 1956. So.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's it, Shannon?
Yep.
Mrs. Buccigross.
I just want to say thanks to Michael Brown, even though I'm still mad at you for leaving me. I am happy for you. You've had such a big impact in a small amount of time. I appreciate you. And you owe me tacos.
Okay.
It's Tuesday.
Hearing nothing else, nobody has anything else, then the meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night.